Feels good to be here as always. Welcome everybody to the What's on Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Brinson. As I always intro the show, I'm really grateful to not only have this platform, but be a voice for the Black community. The topic we're going to start with, it actually wasn't originally on my topics list, but Twitter is a very interesting place. And before I start today's show, we got a lot of topics today. We still gonna have some fun, but and I'm having a little bit of fun with this topic too because I got a special message for the people who said that who claimed that I wasn't smart and chose to take that route on Twitter. Again, it's Twitter, so it is what it is. But the goal of this podcast, and I really love this platform because not only does it allow me to say the things that's on my mind, hence the title, but it allows me to showcase my beliefs of how I view blackness and how I view how important it is to love being black and how important it is I feel to handle discussions a certain way. That's why majority of this conversation I'm gonna handle more seriously and not too aggressive. But and shout out the university I'm going to talk about because I'm not going to I'm going to try my best not to be too critical of the university itself, but more so the policy that they've put in place because I do feel it's deeply rooted in something that I don't think is fair, for lack of better words, for the black community. But so as y'all know, I'm a Twitter user. By the way, it came out a while ago. Like it's been, I think, a year or something since they changed the name from Twitter to X, and then they asked like, do people still call it? It's Twitter. But so I was on Twitter and I saw, and I'm gonna read because it's funny. A lot of the people that, especially for the people that claim like, oh, you're a R slur, because you can't say they don't want you to say that word, a tard. You not smart, you're this and that, all that. But people say some crazy stuff, bro. Even fuck you, but bro, somebody somebody had a picture. It had a person, and then it had, you know how when you drive in, it got the E, the gas tank, it got E in full. On the brain, it had it on E, and then it had the mouth on full. I'm like, dog, that's like fuck you, but that's a hilarious way to clown somebody on Twitter. But and again, even though I'm specifically for the people who had those type of negative things to say, it's gonna be a very specific message for y'all. But I can, especially as a podcaster, just as a person, I can laugh at myself. I can acknowledge the other point, and what I'm gonna do, especially because a lot of podcasters don't do this. And a lot of dumbasses on Twitter definitely wouldn't do this. I'm gonna go to the article. I fact checked to make sure. First of all, I fact checked. A lot of podcasters don't do that, but I also have to, this is the moments when I try to separate myself and show like if I'm gonna express like I'm a journalist. First of all, for the dumbasses that claim I'm not smart, I'm a journalist. I have a journalism degree. Um, in doing that, it's important to go to the source and first of all make sure the tweet I read was even true, and it was, and then the fact check and at least express the other side before I express why I'm not a fan of it. But for those of you who may not follow me on Twitter or don't know what I'm talking about yet, so the to I'll go from the tweet first before I go to the article. I read the tweet from, shout out my mixtapes. I've actually, especially being a journalist, it's important for me to, like, when I'm scrolling on social media and I see something like this, I'm more impressed nowadays when it actually is real and the source is actually true. I wish you guys did like cite your source in the reply just so y'all could get that extra validity. But I've noticed in a lot of their post that it's actually real. Like that, you can look it up and cite a source yourself based on what was tweeted. But for my mixtapes, by the way, mixtapes page tweeting about this. Alabama HBCU Tuskegee University announces a new dress code banning bonnets, durags, and other casual attire, as the school's president said students should dress more professionally. I tweeted, anti-blackness from an HBCU. How ironic. And that's sparked an uproar on Twitter. Some people agree. A lot of people calling me out my name, saying, "Oh my God, you stupid." And before I explain, because I even tweeted this as well, because I did reply to some people who weren't too tense to be like, it's ironic how nobody acts like, why do you feel that way, or how is that the case, and just immediately call me stupid. But it's Twitter, that's what happens. But before I express my opinion, I want to go to the articles themselves. Actually, mainly one. I don't need to read the whole thing here, but I want to. The reason why I'm doing this, A, to make a point, but B, there's something else that is a part of the policy that I feel is important to discuss. But when and I got two articles I'm looking at. This first one, shout out the one I'm looking at currently is The Root. Shout out theroot.com. Black news, opinion, politics, and culture. Shout out y'all. Shout out Phoenix, says they wrote the article. Let me get to the part. Let's see. New policy. Let me see. Trying to get through like the uh to the part of the article where it's important. Um, this is also very important because I'm glad that statistic is there. I'm gonna go because again, A, to make a point, because people for the intelligence thing, like, okay, yeah, y'all trying to say I'm not smart. That's crazy. But um I just even found another point that's important to where, hold on, let me see if I could do the thing to where, because I'm looking for the word. Wow, this is not the article that has it. Let me see. Let me just use both websites. I think I actually. Yep. Oh wow. So shout out. I'm gonna use the other website as well. Shout out the Grio. So I found what I was looking for. Um. So just keep that there. Um. The Alabama HBCU's dress code prohibits students from wearing bedroom shoes, bonnets, and durags. Other things such as revealing clothing and casual wear. Bedroom shoes, bonnets, and durags will also be prohibited in classrooms and the university cafeteria. Students attending business meetings and other professional events will be expected to wear business suits and appropriate shoes. Now, again, as you get from the tweet, you already can get my opinion on this, but I would at least want to express the other side. As I don't. First of all, I think a lot of the people that were calling me stupid actually misunderstood my point, which again, it's on Twitter. But the the thought process behind this, even though I think it's rooted in anti-blackness, I think the goal of it is for the betterment of black people. Because Brown, who I'm assuming is the president of the school, Brown said the changes are not intended to prevent students from enjoying their college experience. Instead, he presented the policies as part of Tuskegee's responsibility to prepare students for professional environments after graduation. Quote from Brown says, "The goal here is not meant to restrict students from enjoying the Tuskegee experience, but to prepare them with a solid foundation for the workforce they will enter once they leave Tuskegee," Brown wrote, according to HBCU Game Day. So again, because I'm gonna be fair and I'm trying my best to be fair before I criticize it, because I know I'm speaking about a university's policy. I wouldn't want the uh, university to feel more so offended, but um, the goal, I can understand the goal of a policy like this. Just hearing some things outside the apartment, so nothing going on. But I can understand the goal of a policy like this. My bad, y'all. But I understand the goal of a policy like this is to put black people in a position and young black students to understand the importance of professionalism. And professionalism is important. And let me make sure, if you're new here, just in case you aren't familiar with the bit, just to make sure I'm still recording. Um, I understand the goal of a policy like this would be to make sure that, especially young black people, understand that professionalism is a part of life, and professionalism is something that, especially in America, it it makes sure you're represented in a way to where you have a very clean look, you're taken very seriously, and the moment you step into a place, your appearance matters. People don't know how you speak or if you're intelligent or how they don't know anything about you when you step in except how you look. So those things are important. What frustrates me, and somebody understood it well in a tweet that I recently saw before I started recording, but I, especially as a young black man who has dreadlocks, who has graduated from a predominantly white institution, go green, Michigan State alum, it really bothers me how black people can't learn or have the opportunity to learn new things, and their appearance is the thing that is focused on. I'm grateful that I got the engagement that I got on Twitter, but I'm very surprised that this was such a debate. Even though I had to realize that this is a debate in black culture, so Twitter, this isn't really. I understand the debate isn't even a Twitter thing, and I would understand, especially a lot of people of the older generation would probably be like, "Oh yeah, oh do rag and you take all that stuff. You young, y'all young folk, get all your stuff together. Y'all need to be in suit and ties. Y'all need to have your back up straight." It genuinely, not to the old folk, to the opinion, it really bothers me how, when it comes to black people, the things that are focused on are put on a certain pedestal to where the criticism and even this conversation of this segment is about black hair instead of how black people can learn in the environment. Because as somebody that's graduated from a predominantly white institution, nobody gave a fuck about what was on our heads. Like the professor, if anything, because this was debated with, I think, one of the people I replied with to, one of the people was like, why would you why would you go to class with that on? And the reply was like, um, hey professor, hey professor, I showed up to class with something on my head. How dumb does that sound? Something like that. And I replied with like, hey, if anything, professors just, if anything, they don't. Some professors honestly will tell you they don't care whether you show up or not. You've already paid for the course. But if anything, they'll say like, just show up to class. If anything, professors will look at you. How dumb do you sound that, oh yeah, I was late to class, or I didn't come to class and my hair wasn't done, or I was having a bad hair day. They will look at you and be like, put something over your head, put a hat on, put a headband on, put some on, and come to class. Because what's funny is, I appreciate this article for pointing this out, because it said in 2026, many professional settings don't require strict professional dress. Because a lot of people was like, which this is a fair point. Why would you go into the workforce or to the professional setting with with a bonnet on, with that type of hair gear on. In 2023, Gallup poll found that 41% of workers in the U.S. wear business casual attire, compared with 31% who wear street clothes, and only 23% wear uniform. So the numbers, for just to show from a numbers perspective, the numbers of people who are actually still wearing uniform have decreased as time gone on. But I understand the more cultural conversation around this is just how you represent yourself as a black person. And it really bothers me on just because if a black person has a do-rag on or a bonnet on, they're deemed less intelligent, because I've been called stupid. And even before me, people were in the reply saying like, oh, the main thing that was getting me, the literal replies, because I, even though I didn't reply. I wasn't one of the first replies on the tweet, but my reply ended up getting the most views and likes. And again, thank you for the engagement. Uh, really, even though I say that sarcastically to the people that's calling me on my name, I am really grateful for this. I'm not somebody that views myself as like uh I never go into things arrogantly, and I'm very grateful that I even have the opportunity to talk about this. And people cared about something I said enough to not have a segment on this platform. And I'm definitely about to clip this and attach it right to that tweet for people that's upset. But in it getting the most traction under the for that reply, there were people still under that tweet, and then under my reply specifically saying it's not anti-blackness, it's anti-ghetto-ness. I'm gonna look at the camera and look at y'all dumbasses for a second, because that phrase in itself is anti-black. And the fact that young men or women could be viewed as ghetto, lack of less intelligent, stupid, the R slur, just because of the things they wear on their head or their clothes is very, very odd. Because even though I do criticize the university for its policy because of them making the policy in itself, the policy is deeply rooted in a belief that you have to get so close to whiteness and the idea of white purity, or the standard of what's deemed okay to be let in certain environments or to be accepted. It's very frustrating that I literally know many black men, many black women who, even in those predominantly white rooms, when they walked in, no matter if they had on a Nike Tech or a polo, they still aced the course. They still were top of the course. They still graduated. There are a lot of black graduates from Michigan State recently. I'm one of them. Even though, yes, hey, people who hire for interns, still looking for an internship. Um, I'm a part of a black echelon to where I can actually speak on the experience of being considered black excellence. But then that's the crazy thing, because I saw that phrase thrown around a lot in my replies. Because what truly is black excellence? See, it's interesting how a lot of the people who replied, the main thing they focused on, even for people who actually got a response out of me, because a lot of the people were calling me stupid. I'm like, okay, y'all are not actually interested in the conversation. But even some of the people who got a response out of me, it's interesting on how the main thing that's focused on was appearing a certain way and making sure that you don't look a certain way, or make sure that you don't look ghetto, or make sure that you don't come off like the arse stupid, like a tard, or looking like all types of things that were said in those replies. None of that actually affects the learning, and none of that actually affects or showcases how smart somebody is. You never, even in the point of defense of the policy and what I said, nobody knows how anything about you except how you look when you first walk in, when they first see you. And even in that, it's funny how so many people still judge a book by its cover. And especially as a young black man in America, I get the point of the policy. Because regardless of my beliefs, regardless of people who agree with me, there are black people and there are people who aren't black who are gonna look at you a certain way with the type of hair you have. Look at you a certain way with the color of hair you have. Look at you a certain type of way if you have on a do-rag, if you have on a bonnet, if you wear certain things. And not only is that fucked up, but that's important to understand as a black person because no matter how fucked up it is, that's the reality of the situation. And the main thing that bothers me though with the policy specifically, the main two things is the banning of the bonnets uh of the do rags because professors, at least in my experience going to Michigan State, professors have autonomy of what goes on in their class. So if they don't want a certain thing worn, if they don't want phones, because phones are also part of the policy. I had a professor that said, "Hey, no phones. Y'all writing with y'all notebooks." And again, thought it was a little crazy, but I'm 23. I'm not that young. I know how to write on a notebook, and I still passed the course. It's not the biggest deal. So that part of the policy, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. If they don't want phones in class, that a lot of this conversation is just about etiquette. And even then, I could be the one to say like, hey, that phone is not that much of a distraction in course as somebody that is now as speaks as a college graduate. But I get the main importance of these conversations and understand that, especially ironically, I'm an education minor for the people that are having this conversation with me. By the way, just because I made that point, it's interesting to note in one of these articles I read that Tuskegee University is a private institution. The moment I read that as an education minor, when you understand the differences between a private institution, a public institution, and a charter, it's like, oh, that's how they can get that off. They're a private institution. It is what it is. They can make their own private rules. But because I'm like a public, Michigan State, for example, for my knowledge, is public. When they're out of all the shit, Michigan State not perfect by any means. And I don't give a fuck about it's all y'all heads. But because even some I said it earlier, but some people try to use the hat thing as an example. They would, especially again, white folk, non-black folk, white people, non-black people, they have on hats, they have on headband, like it's not gonna care. But I see at this specific HBCU it's a thing, but especially because a lot of people, nobody in my replies, even the people that was agreeing with me, didn't bring this up. My other problem with the policy and the university putting this policy specifically, dog. All right, the classrooms is the one thing. Niggas can't wear bonnets or do-rags in the cafeteria. So now you're telling people in what they're paying for the course, what to wear and what to wear and how to express themselves. Now even when they eat, you telling niggas, because this is literally something directed towards it's at HBCU, but this is a conversation about blackness. So you literally telling black folk what to wear. You can't. You're literally controlling what they can wear when they eat and when they learn it in a course that they paid for. Like that is in the control of it is insane to me, even regardless of the race of it. The control of it when it's something that people are paying their own money for, or when they eating, you tell them they can't wear. Again, God forbid in both scenarios, God forbid an unforeseen circumstance or being human happens and you're late and you're like, you know what, let me throw this bio on to get to course, get to my course or class. Or God forbid you wake up tired of you trying to go to the dorm, bro. If I would have went to one of my cafeteria halls and they're like, hey, take the bonnet off, or hey, take the do-rag off. Mind you, let's distinct something very clearly just to make sure, just to, again, for people calling me dumb, personally, I wouldn't wear a bonnet or a do-rag to class or to the lunch hall because not only do I understand what I explained earlier, no matter what my opinion is, I understand how I'm going to be viewed as a young black man, as a black man, period, in America. But also because when I had on a do-rag to just go get water, because I was in a dorm hall, this is an experience, this is a story to where, shout out Brody Hall from Michigan State. All I did in the hall I was in, we didn't have water fountains, and we don't have water fountains in our dorm hall. We didn't have water fountains in the dorm hall. You had to go out, and the water fountain was by the bathroom. I was just asleep, and I woke up to get some water and go to the restroom because they're in the halls I was in. There weren't restrooms either, so you had to go out get water, and then the restroom. I just had a do rag on to go get some water, and group of white dudes staring at me, specifically at my head, because it's like, because they were tall. Some of them were taller than me, and they were. It's like it literally felt like they were looking down on me, all because I had on a durag, and they hadn't seen. It felt like they hadn't seen the durag before. Like they didn't let go of eye contact of me until I went from outside my door to water fountain back to my door. They kept eye contact the whole time, and uh, so I'm not comfortable as the personal choice. But to ban and take away the choice for people to not only just express themselves, but to just be comfortable when they're going to learn or when they're going to eat. I feel like the biggest problem with this, again, even if we want to take race out of it, I'm not going to because I feel the race part is important. Even if you take race out of it, not only is it just very controlling, nitpicking, it's unnecessary. They're there to learn. You know how people, because even for the old people, you said they say it all the time, especially if the school had a uniform. This ain't a fashion show. You're here to learn. So with that same quote, why the professor, nobody's gonna care. Like, even for the people that try to be like drippy, because I tried to be somebody, like, I just wore my clothes to college, but I cared about my appearance. So like, I'm somebody that likes to match, so I match. Again, nobody give a fuck about match. Nobody care if I had on a bonnet or people tired. People is with their friends. People be eating. People like, it does come off a bit to me that a lot of the people that were commenting in the ways they were commenting very aggressively, that they might not have just been to college or they might be unintelligent themselves, and that's okay. But for the people who just genuinely disagree with me, or for the university, or for people who are just open to the conversation, my beliefs are not stemming from just me being young or just from me being stupid or unintelligent. It comes from wanting more for my people and wanting us to just be looked at in a way to where we're not going to be looked at as less intelligent. Again, all this sounds stereotypical. And again, I have the awareness that I'm on Twitter, but some of these people are real people. And even then, Twitter has a lot of bots, a lot of fake people. Even in these articles, both articles even say that this is a debate as old as time of how blackness should be represented, and especially is why I titled this episode this: "What truly is Black excellence?" Because at the end of the day, blackness blackness isn't beautiful or blackness isn't important just because of the clothes we're wearing. It's because of how we make the clothes, how we wear the clothes, the story behind even just having the freedom to just wear whatever we want to. And especially for these hairstyles and for things like durags and bonnets, they're they're for protection. They're for to protect the oils in our hair. And for people like me who believe sort of the spiritualness in it, a lot of our energy and a lot of our power comes from the crown of our hair and from our head. And our hair, especially, I'm Christian as well. So hair and these things, they represent something to me from a religious standpoint. But again, a lot of people don't care about that. It is what it is. From blackness as well. And by the way, especially if you know me in real life, very consistent that I have this opinion. It's very funny because, um, not even to brag, one of the awards, by the way, matter of fact, for the people that was calling me unintelligent, to brag to y'all motherfuckers, but not even to brag, one of the awards I've gotten as a journalist and as a podcaster was about an episode about black hair and how it's important to care about black hair. And I think the episode was called Don't Touch My Hair. Shout out All Shades of Chocolate. Shout out to State News. Shout out my podcast co-host at the time. The reason why that episode will always be important to me in that discussion, because I had the honor of having a conversation with two black ladies, two black young women and two black ladies, to where they gave their thoughts on how not only hair is important for black people, but for black women specifically. And then I was able to interject in the conversation to be able to give a whole viewpoint, from whether it's black men or black women, our hair is important to us, and our hair is a huge part of how we represent ourselves. And we can't represent this without protecting it, without taking care of it. And I understand, especially to the person that I talked to who replied, who didn't have that aggressive of a tone, and who actually they even said they even agree a bit. I understand, and I've said it a few times on purpose to state that I understand that no matter what the opinion is, black people, and especially young black men with dreadlocks, with braids, black women with curly hair, braids, colored hair, when we step out into the world, especially with things that are coincidentally more a part of our culture, like do rags, uh, like bonnets, like chains, like certain ways you dress, hats, hairstyles. Those things don't make us less than. Those things are a part of our story because not only was there a period where we didn't have the choice to have certain hairstyles, not only was there a period to where certain braids were patterns on how where black people should go for freedom and for safety. Not only do these things protect us in a literal sense, we're so protective of these things because it gets misrepresented a lot when it gets taken outside of our culture. And I've been noted, whether it's been in college courses, whether it's been out loud to other people, the only correct way to be black is to love being black. And I'm gonna say that again because it really pisses me off, especially the black people who reply to me and call me unintelligent and enable that anti-blackness in the conversation we're having about anti-blackness. The only correct way to be black is to love the skin that you have and to love the melanin that you have and to love being black. And so you're not immediately ghetto when you have on a do-rag, when you have on a bonnet. I love somebody who agreed with me. They said that blackness isn't ghetto. Ghetto is a behavior. And newsflash for a lot of y'all motherfuckers, especially for the non-black people that was in my comments, even daring to have a reply up in this conversation, and y'all not even black. Ghetto is a behavior. Non-black people can be very ghetto too, and yeah, black people, y'all know what I'm saying. Non-black people can be very ghetto as well. It's very irritating. And again, let me very make sure the camera's still rolling because it's very irritating when the word ghetto only gets attached to blackness and black people. Oh, black people ghetto. Oh, you're ghetto if you wear this. If anything, ghetto a behavior, and especially if you want to we want to, especially, I already pulled up the articles for other things. If you want to talk about the ghettos and these areas that were, let's see, because especially because we're talking about intelligence, and I've mentioned my college degree, and I mentioned I'm also an education minor. These areas that were treated poorly or weren't really invested in and left to suffer, areas that were redlined or taken over, these areas that the only reason majority minorities were in these areas is because that's where sometimes they were pushed, or that's all they could go, that's all they could afford, or that's where they could go. And then it's funny because this conversation is really about, just like I mentioned, when you want more for your people, ironically, you get both sides of this conversation. When it's the people that's expressing, like, you know what, this is a good thing to get rid of them do rag. They need to be in suits. They need to be in polos. Or for the people like me who are upset at people who get like that. At the end of the day, both sides want the betterment for black people. The thing that I would never subscribe to, though, and especially if you know me in real life, I love a good suit. I know how to tie a tie. I feel every man, every black man should know how to tie a tie. I love dressing professionally. It's actually my personally favorite way to dress professionally. Ironically, my profile picture on Twitter, I'm in a polo turtleneck. So if anything, I'm I'm okay with representing myself in a way to where I want to be viewed as professional. What I'm never going to do is tell people that look like me that you have to conform to a certain standard, or you have to wear a suit, you have to wear a certain tie, you have to be in polo to be viewed as professional, or viewed as intelligent, or viewed as okay or acceptable. That's not the truth at all. Whether you wear a suit and tie, whether you know how to tie a tie or not, you can be deemed, you can be in every profession, you can be accepted. And by the way, newsflash, you don't need to be accepted by them. Whoever you consider them is, you don't have to be accepted by them. Because whether or not we're accepted, we're always going to be viewed as a certain way by people who view us as less than. It don't start at the do rag. It don't start at the bonnet. It don't start even at the clothes you wear. Honestly, it don't even start at our skin tone. It starts at a mindset people have to where once they view black people a certain way, nothing else matters. And they're gonna view us a certain way. So for those people, and now here's where we get to the segment for the people who said that I was unintelligent, dumb, R slur. Fuck you. Not even to give you all my energy to be like, oh, something like that, oh, all that. The reason why it's a fuck you is because even with my dreads, even with my colored dreadlocks, even with a bonnet, do rag, I still succeeded at a predominantly white institution. I didn't even have the opportunity, or I didn't go to HBCU. I graduated from a predominantly white institution to where no matter I had do rag on, Nike Tech, or Polo, I was in those classrooms. And the other black people who graduated, the other black people who are in those classrooms, y'all belong there. Y'all aren't there by accident. It's a predominantly white institution for a reason, and y'all were accepted for a reason. There's no need for acceptance from those people, but when you step into those rooms, understand that you're already there's a possibility that you might be looked at a certain way, but also understand that you stepped into that room because you belong there. Whether you go to class with a do-rag on or a bonnet on, and it's in 2026, it feels so crazy to even talk about. But again, when you do your research, or if you're an education minor, or if you're a teacher, when you understand things about private institutions, it's like at the end of the day, they have the power to make whatever rules and stipulations they have. The reason why public and charter institutions or just schools are sought after is because you have liberty and freedom to express yourself and do things that some places just don't allow. But to end this segment, and just to repeat what I said, black people, you belong. No matter what area you go in, no matter how you look, you belong. Now, I'm also not gonna lie to you. Just like I've said many times in this conversation, how you approach and how you walk into a room matters. If you go into a room with your bonnet on, if you go into a room with your do-rag on, if you go into a room with colored dreadlocks, some people are going to perceive you a certain way. Sometimes even people that look like you, unfortunately, they're gonna look at down on you, and that's not okay. But the reason why it's important to understand that is because I do agree with something that one of the people who criticized me said. It's important to adjust. It's important to know the rooms you're in. And again, I speak just from experience. I'm a journalism major. I'm a journalist. If I walk into a newsroom with my do-rag or bonnet on, unless they know me, because luckily I've come from a news organization to where they wouldn't look, I would at least hope, but based on the experiences that I have from them, they wouldn't look down on me if I came on with a bonnet on. Matter of fact, I can probably imagine one of the black women that worked at that newsroom who at least wore some make once, or at least when they wore their natural hair, wasn't looked at a certain way. Now, did I have to explain the difference between the fact that these are not braids, they're dreadlocks? Yes. Sometimes people outside of our community are not going to be totally knowledgeable of our community, and that's okay. Not only can we educate, and that's the main reason why I have this segment, because this can be educational. Just like I've expressed, some black people may not even know some braid designs were used, and some of these things, since they're so old, or since they're so folktale, or since certain things weren't supporting black media. Some of these things are alleged. Do your own research. Some of these things considered true. Sometimes these things are hard to find. But sometimes some black hairstyles were designed in a way to where it wasn't obviously okay for people who were enslaved at the time to talk about being free. And so to get to certain paths, whether it was the Underground Railroad or just for freedom, certain braid designs, like when they're like twisted a certain way, those were pathways for people uh to get away for freedom. And again, just like I said, a lot of these things, do your own research for your own purposes. But the reason why these things are important, or why these stories are believable or important for black people, at least in my opinion, is to not only understand you belong, but to understand that it's important to thrive in your blackness, to wear your natural hair, to love how you look, to love how you're born, and you belong. And this podcast will always be rooted in loving black culture and talking about black culture and the things that make us black. And one last thing for the idiot who called me an idiot on Twitter. Again, first of all, why I gotta be an idiot just for an opinion. Secondly, for the people who felt that way, or for the people who were like, oh, this blackness, all it is bodice and durags. No, that's not all our culture comes to. But not only are those things a part of our culture matters. Sometimes people, especially outside of the culture, feel like certain parts of our culture can get ignored. But for good and for bad, it's important to talk about these things to really show how some people view us. And in this segment, going back to the title of this episode, the phrase even black excellence can be looked at a certain way, because being black is excellent, just off being black alone. And while I'm not one of those people that be like, oh, black people are God, or like we're these, I definitely feel blackness and black people are closely connected to God in a way to where, whether it's our skin, the way we age, the way we have an influence on the world, blackness is beautiful. And the only correct way to be black, like I said, is to love being black. And the thing about black excellence, when I ask the question of what truly is black excellence, the reason why I made that the title of this episode is because we're gonna talk about a lot of avenues today to where, at the end of the day, not only should excellence not be defined by other people, especially other people outside of our community, with the things that black people have to overcome and the way we have to be extraordinary just to be let in, or just even have the opportunity. Understand that that bonnet, that durag, the clothes you wear, you define them. They don't define you. They don't define you. As I close this segment, I really love everybody who talks to me, who engages with me, and it's important to understand that some places will encourage black culture and some places won't. And there are some places like the city of brotherly love where Philadelphia is a place that, when you do research or when you talk to people from Philadelphia, just is really, really enriched in black culture. And if it's anybody who is enriched in black culture, it's LeBron James, nigga. LeBron James is going to the Philadelphia 76ers, nigga. Listen, I appreciate everybody who was there for the serious segment. I said we was gonna have some fun today. And the topic of black excellence is still gonna be throughout this whole episode. But listen, shout out LeBron. Even though again, Flight pissed me off with his take. Again, everybody got their own opinion. I don't you never can know whether he trolling or not. And another 2K nigga pissed me off. We go some of these 2K niggas, Flight nowhere near the other 2K niggas I'm about to talk about, at least that I know of. But LeBron James is now on the Philadelphia 76ers. And listen, hey, I'm gonna need my Philly jersey. It is what it is. And I even said, shout out Brian. Matter of fact, this will be a true testament to see if you watch all my episodes. Because sometimes Brian would tell me, like, hey, you know what? I really like this episode. It was a good episode. So as a token of my appreciation, hey, if you catch this episode or if you catch this shout out, let me know. But it's gonna be funny to be like, yeah, I caught the shout out. But uh my man's Brian, I was talking to him about the trade, and I did mention, I'm like, it's funny how, like, I've always, for me, with how I go with sports, I try to be a fan of players and not teams, because a landscape of a team can change at any moment. But players usually withstand their uh, ability for a little longer. At least how I viewed it when I started thinking of sports at the time. Because for my basketball history, real quick, just for football, actually, for football history, I'm a big Tom Brady fan, and so I grew up a Brady and Grunt fan, and I was a fan of that era of the Patriots, and then some different eras of the Patriots. And I'd say I'm mainly only a Patriots fan in football now. From like, I just coincidentally be picking a lot of their players in fantasy football when I play fantasy football with my friends. But in football now, currently, I'd say the team I care for most is still the Patriots, just because of the history and like Brady, and then Randy Moss also played for them. So the Patriots got a rich history. But I'm not really like diehard Patriots fan. And matter of fact, I need a Brady jersey. I need a Brady Grunt. I need some Patriots jersey. But I mentioned that because in basketball, I started off, and shout out him being the 2K27 legend cover. I started out as a Derrick Rose fan, and then once Derrick Rose got injured, I was so young, I didn't I didn't know what happened to him, and then I saw LeBron James, and I'm like, LeBron James. So uh, I didn't, and all that is to the point of when seeing LeBron in Cleveland. I never really was a Cleveland fan. Uh, seeing LeBron go to Miami, or if I'm going from the track record of me as a kid, I saw him in Miami first, and then went back to see him in Cleveland because I didn't, or at least I don't have memory of the early 2000s LeBron. But never had a Miami jersey, and then didn't really end up being a Heat fan or was a Heat fan. I was more so just a LeBron fan, and then end up liking the people that was on that team on that era of the Miami Heat. Like, shout out Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers. Matter of fact, for Brian, matter of fact, you give me half a segment. Cause me and him kind of got into a debate, because he was like, that Miami team wasn't really all that. I'm like, hold on, nigga. We ain't gonna disrespect Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole, Bosh, Wade, Brian, Mike Miller, Shane Battier. Them niggas was cold. But fan of that era, never really a fan of the Heat. Had a Cavs, end up getting a Cavs jersey when he went back to Cleveland, but wasn't really a Cavs fan. But I have since became a fan of the Lakers, because my second favorite player is Luka Doncic. And then, what the fuck, Dallas? Thank you for LA. Traded Luka to LA, and then I'm a big Austin Reeves fan as well. And shout out to Caruso Goat. I'm a big Alex Caruso fan, but he on the Thunder now. But I'm interested to see if I'm going to become a 76ers fan, because the Philadelphia 76ers, they nice over there. They stacked. And real quick, just to get this part of the debate out of the way, because I am a LeBron fan, but I try to take basketball opinions as clear-headed as possible, because a lot of basketball fans, especially on Twitter, are dumb as well. But it's like, okay, yes, I actually feel, some people actually disagree with this, but yes, it's a super team. I feel it's a super team, and that's not where my opinion ends. Because stay with me, a lot of people are stupid with this. Yes, I feel it's a super team. But like, I wish I can get close to the guy. I can't. I'm gonna get close to the camera a little bit. He's 40. He in his 40s. If LeBron James, who I feel is the greatest basketball player of all time, but if at worst too, if he want to go build a super team at 43, by the way, build again. Shout out Derek Fisher. You can go build super teams when you this fucking super team. And Derek Fisher and Brian, because Brian said it too. It's a super team because of LeBron James. I hope y'all understand that. The reason why the commissioner of the league was waiting for him to pick his team for the scheduling. LeBron, and again, people call shit glaze. Jordan had the same motion. I think probably other than LeBron, you probably only can compare it to Jordan. Because LeBron, that is some pull for the commissioner to come out and be like, nigga, choose your team. But people call it glaze, people call it whatever. Especially for some of the people that were criticizing him, like Charles Barkley. And I really like Charles. Charles was nice in the league, and I really like Charles as a personality. Niggas like Charles Barkley would come out and say like, "Oh, he's trying to build a super team," and had his comments. My nigga, in Houston, you play with Hakeem Olajuwon and Scottie Pippen. Like, whoa, wait, it's one thing if a nigga try to get that shit off on LeBron uh and they didn't try to build a super team. Nigga, just because you failed to try and build a super team, don't try and criticize LeBron when he on his fourth ring. And by the way, somebody else pointed out when LeBron was drafted to Cleveland, they sucked. Had never had a championship. When LeBron went to Miami, they hadn't been to the finals in umpteen amount of years. Philadelphia never won a championship. So it's funny how they're claiming LeBron chasing rings with these organizations, and these organizations didn't have shit. Miami had a ring before LeBron. Like, I'm sorry. Like, wait a minute. Especially Cleveland, LA when he got there, Miami when he got there, and Philadelphia, respectfully, the reason why Philadelphia fans are so happy is because LeBron make it the super team. Without LeBron, they were a really good team. Philadelphia had a really high hopes when Jaylen Brown got there. But LeBron being there, yes, even though some people disagree, I do feel it's a super team because again, people can have their own opinion. This is why I can say, especially as a podcaster and especially in basketball, I can have a conversation. Because for the people who don't feel it's a super team, my nigga, Tyrese Maxey averaged almost 30 last year. VJ Edgecombe was a rookie last year, putting up 30 points in the playoffs. They just came back down 3-1 with Jaylen Brown on the team against the Celtics. My nigga, that starting lineup consists of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. No, I'm very happy LeBron fan over here. And I'm actually, listen, I'm not the biggest Joel Embiid fan as a player. Again, just to get that out the way, by the way, Joel, there's no excuse, my nigga. Dog, you get that shit together. But, and again, I'm sure, just to be fair, I'm sure he doesn't want to be injured. But again, when you're barely available, the best ability is availability. And when you put up like 15 points, him and Harden did that bullshit. Putting up like 15 points in the game 7, dog, not being able to get past second round, whether it's for Joel or for the organization, there's no excuse no more. Y'all just got Jaylen Brown. Y'all just got LeBron James. And even though he's 40, he's still at a level to where, hey, call this bias. He was out playing Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in that second round. So LeBron James still at a level to where he's a championship piece. And at any given night, he probably could still be the best player on that team, but he's 43. First of all, in my opinion, the best player on that team is Jaylen Brown. Joel Embiid, whether it's Jaylen Brown or Joel Embiid, and Joel didn't put up 70 before. Joel a former MVP. Jaylen Brown a former Finals MVP and Eastern Conference MVP. Tyrese was just putting up 30, almost 30 last year. It's LeBron James. Figure that shit out. LeBron signed a 2-year, $8 million deal. This is championship or bust. Shout out to Joe Budden podcast. The Philadelphia niggas on there was happy. The Philadelphia people on there were very happy that LeBron went there. And Joe asked Ice, like, what's the prediction, the record prediction? That nigga Ice said, Larry. That nigga Joe talking Larry who? You? Joe's they funny. Shout out to Joe Budden podcast. Big fan. Ice like nigga Larry O'Brien. And to be honest, when Jaylen Brown went there, the expectation for me was conference finals or bust. LeBron being there, it gotta be championship or bust. They kind of replaced Paul George, and shout out Paul George. I actually think he's gonna be decent on the Celtics. And the only reason I say decent is because he's older. George nice, but not better than Jaylen Brown. What the fuck they was thinking there? But they didn't like Jaylen. And then, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna give a whole segment on this. Yes, it was a shot. Jason Tatum told, listen, Tatum and Brown. I do also. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give it a mini segment because I just got to give a little bit of the context. Unfortunately, people have tried to pit them up, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum up against each other for the longest. And in my personal opinion, because some just like the other thing where some people feel like It's not a super team. Some people feel like these aren't shots. To each their own. Jaylen Brown, or I feel like B Souls, especially as a Celtics fan, he explained it perfectly. He said neither of these can be considered shots. But if they are, Jaylen Brown saying that, which again, the reason why I make the face, I do feel on both sides these are jabs. B Soul said, like, hey, if Jaylen Brown saying coincidentally the year where Jason Tatum wasn't there is my favorite year, even though he's won a championship, which that statement was a little crazy, but it's his opinion. If that could be considered a shot, then Jason Tatum literally saying, hey, to be a leader, you gotta know how to learn. I don't want to be around people that think they're the smartest person in the room. When it's been reported that people didn't like Jaylen Brown because they felt he was the smartest person in the room, my nigga, that's a shot. That's a jab. Even though to express the other side, Jason Tatum is literally at a youth camp trying to explain the youth to better the youth. Even I'm a podcaster. Even if he was just doing that, of course I'm gonna look for this narrative. But again, my nigga, come on now. I'm not gonna be obtuse on either side. It's probably a little bit of tension there. I think the media way overdoes it. I'm hear me kind of playing into it. I think the media way overdoes it, but I'm also not dumb. contrary, contrary to some people on Twitter, I'm not dumb. And at least in my personal interpretation of things, I'm gonna put it like this, especially again, because some people try to be obtuse, and I'll be very serious about it just for a quick second. I'd understand if Jaylen Brown took it as a shot, especially I'd understand Jason Tatum took it as a shot. But especially for the Jaylen Brown side, for all the stuff that's being said about me, for all the stuff that's being said in the media from the organization, probably directly themselves, Tatum would know probably the best. And for it to come out that people felt I was the smartest in the room, so that's why they don't like me. And then for you to go and say to be a leader very recently after I'm traded to a team that kind of don't like the Celtics, I don't want to be viewed as the smartest in the room. I feel like Jason Tatum, especially as at least a media personality, because a lot of entertainers or a lot of athletes do have to be considered, at least in my opinion, media personalities. So you have to speak to the media sometimes, and they are public and they are famous. That he should have a little bit of awareness to be careful of his words, to not go out and say the literal quote that was said about Jaylen Brown as to why people don't like him. And even then, again, let me make sure I'm still recording, to at least be like, and I'm not talking about Jaylen Brown. For your people, don't try and make it something what it ain't. I at least feel like that should be there. So yes, if I'm Jaylen Brown, and again, me, I'm a podcast, I'm a battle rap fan. I just said I'm a Joe Budden podcast fan. Listen, my brain's gonna think this way. Yes, I'm gonna take that as a shot, and yes, I'll feel some type of way. And just to put this out there as well, because I talked to Brian about this, and this is part of the conversation for some people on Twitter that they saw. Is like, I don't think it's that deep. Especially, I think basketball and their job and winning the championship should be bigger than these things. But I do think Joel Embiid and Jaylen Brown should have a conversation because of the shit that's there between Boston and Philadelphia, and probably who knows what was said, who knows on the court. Probably should just at least be a conversation. LeBron and Jaylen Brown probably should at least have a conversation if they haven't already, and I'm gonna get to that in a few seconds. Because people reminded me like, oh, Jaylen Brown was saying Bronny probably ain't league ready. To give a quick opinion on both of those, and to since I'm putting it in this segment, I don't think neither of these things are that deep. I do understand both sides, and especially as a father on LeBron's end, I'm gonna take the perspective of when I have kids. Don't say shit about my kid, especially as another hooper. There is, from what I've heard, kind of a like what's the phrase, like an unspoken rule to not talk badly about other players, and that's another player's son. So as a father, I would totally get if he felt some type of way, but LeBron probably don't care about that shit. Or if he do, from how we saw he put up on Stephen A, I'm sure some straightening happened. I'm sure he had a conversation with Jaylen Brown, or there's going to be a conversation if it was that deep. But whether a conversation happens or not on both sides, I don't think it should be that deep, and it probably isn't that deep. And whether it is or isn't, I don't think neither one will be bigger than basketball. And I'm personally excited for the move as a LeBron fan. Honestly, and this is another part of the conversation. Some people, some people were praising him for the contract he took. Some people were still trying to find a way to criticize him, be like, "Oh, this don't mean nothing." I mean, LeBron James is a billionaire, so I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, he took the pay cut, yay. But he doesn't have to do that. Like he is LeBron James. He could command however much money he wants to, and especially him being LeBron James, especially just from a like how much money he earns the league perspective. Like the league is literally waiting for him to make a decision to do certain things. Like LeBron probably earns the NBA billions of dollars. So he doesn't have to do anything. But for him to take the pay cut, especially to try and get a championship, at least where I come from, because some people were trying to criticize that move, calling it ring chasing. I already gave my opinion on that. Again, I feel it's stupid. Shout out Derek Fisher and my man's Brian. LeBron is the super team. You can ring chase when you're creating the championship environments. Uh, but from at least where I come from in the basketball conversations, we want motherfuckers to ring chase when they get old. Like where I come from, we want people who wanted Melo. People criticize. I'm one of the people that criticize Carmelo Anthony as a basketball player. I actually think he's a very great podcaster, and I wasn't the biggest Melo fan as a player, but great content creator. But as a player, I'm one of the people that was criticizing Melo for leaving New York too late or doing moves that were perceived as caring more about the money than the championship aspirations or trying to build a super team. And Melo eventually did. He eventually played for LA and Houston, and he tried for OKC. Just it didn't. He wasn't good enough. They weren't good enough to win a championship. But it is what it is. Melo's still a Hall of Fame, top 75, deservingly player. But where I come from, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, we wanted them to go to teams to be like, hey, bro, please go to a team that can win a championship. Like, y'all is not going to win none of them teams y'all playing on. Go win it. Go build a super team. Go get them champions. Go get them rings. Because, hey, it is shit. It's great. Even Shaq said it. Shout out Shaq. Shaq don't always got the best takes, and some people try to make it a Shaq and Barkley thing. It is funny that Shaq's comments came out right after Barkley's, and it's kind of completely go against what Barkley said, but I agree with Shaq. The It's called greatness. The people who got that opinion, it's because they never won a championship, because they didn't win shit. So they weren't great. And respectfully, even though I view Barkley good, respectfully, I agree with Shaq. It's like, the niggas that's calling it ring chasing, the niggas that didn't do it. The niggas that didn't successfully get the ring. Ironically, again, Barkley, who played with Hakeem and uh uh Scottie Pippen. And somebody, shout out Legend of Winning. I don't know if it was a typo or not, but somebody said, he said, like, Barkley tried to form a super team in Portland. And that was before, I didn't even know that. And if that wasn't a typo, I only knew about the Houston one. So it's like, and again, bro, people always try to make this thing like LeBron created super teams. Bill Russell in the Celtics. Barkley and the Rockets. When Nasty Man Karl Malone and Gary Payton went to the Lakers. The low key Larry Bird Celtics. The '08 Celtics with Garnett, and there are so many examples of super teams way before LeBron. It's so crazy. And by the way, LeBron became a nigga people were building super teams on, or building super teams for. Looking at you, 2017-18 Warriors. So it's like, dog, LeBron is the standard. We understand, or for people who understand, we understand. And no matter what LeBron do, is gonna be criticized. Shout out Skip Bayless. At least he consistent. His hate was at least the one I was waiting for him, and he didn't disappoint. He said, you're in the easy East. The East not even. Some people feel. Shout out to Deep 3 podcast. Some people feel the East is really good, if not better than the West currently, top to bottom. But the East ain't even weak no more. But at the end of the day, again, he's 43 years old at this point in his career. Whatever LeBron James want to do, he can do. And especially when it comes to conversations, because this becomes a part of the conversation for LeBron as well, not even just for this episode. When it comes to the conversation of Black excellence, no matter, just like I mentioned, no matter what LeBron do, he's going to be criticized. But for LeBron James to be somebody that, even before he entered the league, his expectations were extraordinary. And he's somebody, again, people consider it Glaze. Literally, his own teammates when he went to the league were like, he not ain't gonna be that good. People saying this rookie about to change that team. What about us? What if he ain't really that? What if he ain't better than us for real? Crazy stuff to say. Again, that's on video. That's on video. But but this isn't glazed for people who try to say it's glazed. For LeBron to quite literally exceed the expectations that were put upon him before he was even entered the league, and he's still playing basketball at a very high level at year almost 23. I'm 23 years old. I literally don't know basketball without LeBron James. Whether even from the moment I know and remember and process, oh, this is basketball, this is LeBron James. My life existence doesn't my entire life existence is LeBron James' basketball career. That's how crazy this is to think about. And he's played basketball so long to where somebody then looked in front of a phone camera with a podcast mic talking about how he's still playing in the basketball, still playing at a high level, still averaging 20 points. For the people that use his longevity as a criticism, have at it. LeBron James is my greatest basketball player of all time, and at worst, he's two, because Jordan is still him. People, again, I'm a podcaster, so I talk about a lot of stuff, but especially NBA Twitter, NBA community. People debate basketball, and some people feel the Jordan LeBron debate or basketball debate is old. I'm somebody who, even though I'm irritated at the current climate of debating, because you can't really debate with nobody, people just go get offended, argue, or call you stupid or tard, like people you can't express another opinion. But if you can't tell, especially me being as a podcaster at the root of me, I love debating, and a good debate, especially a good basketball debate, I'm here for it. The Jordan LeBron debate will never get old for me. Basketball debate will never get old for me. But what does get very old is when people try to act like LeBron or Jordan is a crazy goat to have either way. My hot take, and me personally, again, I'm a podcaster, so of course I'm gonna feel this about an opinion I have, but I don't feel this is a debate, but it is a debate. But, or pardon me, I don't feel this is a hot take, but for some people this is a hot take. The hotter take between whether you feel Jordan or LeBron is the GOAT, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's a preference thing. My hot take is that the GOAT conversation is LeBron and Jordan, and then, or my hot take is there's LeBron and Jordan, and then there's a gap. Now, to some people that'd be offended, though, especially to who I have at third. Rest in peace to I feel the greatest Laker of all time. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. A lot of Kobe fans feel offended at that, especially. But my hot take in terms of the GOAT debate is it's LeBron or Jordan, whoever you got at one or two, and then there's a gap. Now, whoever you got at third, I feel Kobe is third. I feel that's another thing about Kobe. Some people, especially after he died, try to play with his name. The lowest Kobe should ever be in anybody's debate list is 4, and that's only because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar exists. But I got Kobe at 3, and that's only people I feel better than Kobe Bryant in basketball is the gap of Jordan and LeBron. And um, other than that, as a hot take, have at it in terms of who you debate is the GOAT, because Jordan is Jordan. Again, just for real quick, I feel LeBron James the greatest of all time, but people dilute the GOAT conversation so badly to where people don't know how to debate either. For people who debate LeBron or Jordan, I'm gonna give Jordan fans and LeBron fans one very easy talking point to consider the GOAT. For LeBron James, I feel it's very, very simple for LeBron, but just pick a stat. But just the fact that for LeBron, with the fact that he's still playing a year 23 and he's still playing at a very high level, and he's matter of fact, let's even for one-on-one example, let's use this for LeBron, because this, if you know, you know. I ain't. Matter of fact, shout out. I am gonna shout you out. I ain't put you on blast. Shout out people like my dad, who's not the biggest LeBron fan, and feel all he do is pass, or feel people like Kobe better than him. Because for people who share that opinion, LeBron James is considered a pass. Because people like Skip Bayless share that opinion. For people who feel LeBron James is a pass first player, or his best ability is passing, or he passed too much, or he's not clutch, he's a leading scorer in the NBA. For Michael Jordan, that nigga got 10 scoring titles and he averaged 30. And I know I say one-on-one, just reasons plural for people who, because niggas on Twitter too is trying to be very hypercritical of my word. People funny. But Jordan averaged 30 and got 10 scoring titles. LeBron James still playing at a high level, and to be considered a pass first player, he's a leading scorer. Whoever you take as the GOAT, take with that what you will. But it is what it is. Shout out LeBron being on the Philadelphia 76ers. And matter of fact, stay hydrated. And for my ASMR people, if that picks up in the mic. But In terms of predictions, again, I already said it should be championship or bust. I'm pretty serious in that. For a like as laid back uh prediction as possible, I do genuinely feel like the Philadelphia 76ers at bare minimum should make the conference finals. And that's my expectation for them. And for a team and for Joel Embiid specifically, who's never made out the second round, this is quite literally the best that the process is ever gonna have. Like the process was looking dead in the water, especially after Ben Simmons, and now we're at a point where Joel Embiid is has an opportunity to where hopefully he doesn't have to work himself too hard. Hopefully he can miss games when needed or not be overly physical on the court when if it isn't needed, or go out to where if he's on one leg still playing, or hopefully let's not get to a point where he's on one leg. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are at a great point. I think if Kawhi goes to Toronto, their comp, if New York, and I feel the only comp for them, and I love my city. Shout out to Pistons. And we first of all, we can't lose. I'm with I want let me say the whole opinion. I want as a black man, I want JD to get his money. I agree with the Pistons. He did not play worth the contract that he is asking for in the play. In the playoffs, he didn't ask it for play worth it. Seeing Walker Kessler get the contract he has, and I actually like Walker Kessler. Shout out Walker Kessler. The only reason I'm aware, I'm not somebody that really watched a lot of Jazz games, but when I play 2K, I'm IGM, my league mode, and Walker Kessler is a great addition to your team. Like he's a nice 10-10. Like Walker Kessler, nice, but especially with him coming off an injury, I can understand JD seeing Walker Kessler getting the money he got and wanting that contract. But for the Pistons, I understand and I agree that JD is probably we don't get JD that money, but if we don't, and this is where JD come in and JD's agent, it's like if y'all don't, I don't think we can afford to lose Jalen Duren whether you consider he played worthy for starting center or backup center. Well, it don't matter. I don't think we can afford to lose Jalen Duren. So if we do, we're cooked. Cade already, other than Tobias, Cade was already the only nigga that could score, and that was off of collapse long. So if we lose Jalen Duren, and in the regular season, JD held it down. Regular season, Jalen Duren deserved that bread. 20-10 was holding it down with Cade. Regular season Jalen Duren, I get it. I get the thought process. Even from the playoff production, if we just look at it overall, I get the thought process. As a black man, I want JD to get his money. I'll never be somebody that want to withhold that man's money. If I'm thinking of it from the Detroit Pistons organization perspective, you have to get that money elsewhere, brother man. But I hope there's some type of healthy medium there to where I actually, even though I feel Jalen Duren doesn't deserve the money right now, or he didn't play worth the money right now, I think, hold on. Even I don't think Jalen Duren that young because I'm 23. I don't think Jalen Duren's only 22 years old. But Jalen Duren is young enough to where damn, he's like almost factually. It's not factual, but the prediction, the trajectory, he's gonna get better. Like he's a very young center to where the upside there is an upside. I mean, 19-10 for the regular season, and then no, he is younger than me. Jalen Duren is only 22 years old. He don't turn my age until the end of this year. Dog. First of all, that's crazy. Jalen Duren's younger than me. But dog, get a young man a chance. Like I think for the Detroit Pistons, even though again, if he asks for almost 200 mil, the nigga crazy at the moment. But damn, we can't work something out. Like 4 years, 100. Like what's that? 25 a year. Like again, I get it because the Pistons are in probably we can win right now mentality. And if they don't feel they can win with JD, then that's very unfortunate. But I show as no damn show well, unfortunately, even though I think Paul Reed and Beef Stew, like if the mindset is we can survive with them as the starting centers, I understand it to a degree. Because we couldn't even beat Cleveland in game 7 in Detroit with JD. At a certain point, niggas is gonna be above 6'9". Like at a certain point, if we even get to the finals, we're looking at either Jokic, Wemby, probably one of them, Chet, Isaiah Hierstein, like these 7-foot centers who either are tall and can dominate every bit of the court, or even if they're primarily the height is their strength. Isaiah Hierstein still getting you probably double-digit boards. Chet Holmgren, if he's not playing Wemby, still is really good. Like at a certain point, you're gonna need flexibility. You're gonna need player attributes to where they're taller. And I don't think we can lose Jalen Duren, but that whole point is to say, going back to the Philadelphia 76ers, the only comp for them in the East should be now the East is really good top to bottom, but in terms of stopping them from getting to the conference finals at bare minimum, the only competition would really be either Toronto or New York. And it's funny. It's funny because somebody said Joel Embiid didn't play all this time. Brian on Philly, Jalen Brown on Philly, Tyrese Maxey that came in on, and Kawhi Leonard's still a Raptor. But um, shout out LeBron James, and again, I think if there's anybody that resembles black excellence, it will be LeBron James. But even no matter what, no matter how LeBron James has lifted his family and a black family, first of all, a black family, that should be very noted, a black family to the status of it is. He's showcased what it takes to be a black billionaire. He's achieved the status of being a black billionaire. People have their beliefs on billionaires, but there aren't a lot of black billionaires that exist. And for him to showcase that he can be someone that can reach that level, it shows that it, at least at bare minimum, is possible, depending on how you view the systems in play. And it shows, unfortunately, that no matter what LeBron James does, even if he does bring a championship to Philly, even if he doesn't, it's never going to be enough. And that showed what that also should show is that at the end of the day, the decisions you should make for yourself, especially for black people in this world, if you can help your family, if you can help your own, a lot of the outside is going to look at you a certain way, and a lot of the outside is going to criticize. But LeBron James is doing something that I hope is best for him and his career. Because at the end of the day, I view this, even as a fan, this is extra credit. I view LeBron James as the greatest basketball player of all time since the Olympics. At 2016, I'm like, hey, there's nothing LeBron could do. He's forever second. There's no more or less he could do to be considered the GOAT. Once I saw that nigga still playing at a high level at the Olympics at that age, I'm like, hey, I haven't seen, and I don't think there's been a better basketball player that's not named LeBron James. But he's achieved everything he could achieve. This extra credit for him at this point, dog. Keep doing what you're doing, Brian. Shout out LeBron. Shout out Philadelphia. Shout out to Philadelphia 76ers. Hey, I'm very serious as a basketball fan and as a basketball viewer, though. I feel it's championship or bust if they get LeBron for both years, but at bare minimum, conference finals or bust. Like, hey, no excuse. But let me see. We still live. We still recording. Where we going next? Where we going? Let's get that topic list done. You know what? To keep it in sports, I do, and I just looked at it, but I know exactly where I want to go next. So to give a little to give a little background on myself, actually, as we transition to this next topic, as I've mentioned, I've earned a degree and I've worked towards a degree from Michigan State in journalism, and I actually used to want to be in sports journalism. I'm a big fan of sports. I'm a big fan of. I grew up on ESPN. I grew up on a lot of the analysts that worked for the sports networks. People like Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, uh, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, Skip Bayless, and if it's anybody else, especially in football, that I've grown up watching in the sports journalism realm, is Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark is someone I don't even know if he has a journalism degree, but especially from someone who used to be very good NFL player, used to be honestly, I'm sure he's considered one of the greatest at his position. And there's a clip of Ryan Clark is also a content creator. Shout out to Pivot Podcast and shout out Ryan Clark and shout out everybody in that podcast. Really good platform, and I'm very happy Ryan Clark has a platform of his own for independent media, Black independent media, to have his own voice after this has happened. But um, I would be someone who even would consider him under that journalism level, just from how professional and how he handles his business and how he just talks about football, how he conducts himself. And recently, ESPN had a lot of layoffs, to where, unfortunately, big layoffs in these type of companies mean firing of a lot of minorities. And Ryan Clark did, in my opinion, very shady, very done, very dirty. As if you aren't familiar with him, he's someone who talks about football on a live show. And they fired that man during the show, during the broadcast. From how it goes, I wasn't watching the broadcast at the time, but from how it was described, he was on the broadcast, and I'm familiar with the show. I think it was NFL Live, but I just wasn't watching at the time. Uh, he was doing the show as normal, doing the segments. During commercial break, they told that nigga he was fired, and then they said the last 10 minutes of the show he just wasn't there, and then he was fired during the show. Like that's very messed up that he was fired during his show, and they couldn't even let him finish the show, especially if it was like literally only 10 minutes left. They didn't even let that man do the last segment. They fired him before the last segment. They let him do majority of the show. Fired him last segment. Insane to me, and I appreciate Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith, I've even criticized Stephen A. Smith sometimes. Um, Even though I'm actually a huge fan of Stephen A. Smith, that's actually where a lot of my criticism and disappointment comes from when I have criticism. But for the most part, big fan of Stephen A. And he was talking about how I'm sitting here thinking because he had this one on the podcast and he gave an opinion about weed, which Stephen A. Smith, stop, get off the weed, and it makes sense. But I didn't agree with that opinion. But Stephen A. Smith came to the defense of Ryan Clark to where he said like, hey, I get business, but Ryan Clark has been a staple of ESPN for a long time. Like I gotta say something about this. And again, I'm actually a fan of Pat McAfee. I'm a WWE fan, so I'm a fan from Pat McAfee from there. I'm hip to Pat McAfee's channel. I actually think the contract he's getting, before I say this, I actually agree with Joe Budden. I heard him say it first. I actually think Pat McAfee getting lowballed. With how much money he's probably garnering towards ESPN from the YouTube, from his network, he's the top. Like Pat McAfee's probably getting lowballed. But it's funny how people like Ryan Clark and people, even like Cam Newton as well, they get laid off. But Pat McAfee better get 60 M's a year. And for reference, Stephen A. making 100 million over like the next 4 or 5, and Pat McAfee is about to make 60 million a year. Pat McAfee is about to get some bread, deservingly so. Pat McAfee's earned that money, and again, I feel Pat McAfee probably could get paid a lot of money, especially he a white man. Shit, they let my dad. He said all the time they be letting him cuss on the network. They be letting him do whatever he want, and he should. That nigga guarded, bro. Not only is Pat McAfee just actually talented as a media personality, and he was a former football player as well. He was a punter, I think they said. But if I'm not wrong. But Pat McAfee is also he's very entertaining. I think Pat McAfee's good. It's just unfortunate when minorities or people like Ryan Clark did how they did, and then people who look like Pat McAfee get elevated to how they are. And to think like the layoffs are at a certain point to where Ryan Clark can't. There's no room for Ryan Clark at all. That's very telling. And Ryan Clark even went on his platform to just talk about how like at the end of the day, like he loved his job. He would have did anything for that job. And to see how they do him and to see how these jobs sometimes do black men, it's why I mentioned like again, coincidentally a lot of the topics I'm gonna talk about. It's why I was very specific in my title. And I try to be very specific on all my titles, people who can't tell from my Spotify Apple Podcast audience. But um for those people who will see the title of how it is, it's why I just keep questioning and just thinking like, what truly is deemed black excellence for people? Because if Ryan Clark is not the staple of that, because there were people who, again, it's Twitter, but there were people on social media, on Twitter, other platforms saying like, no, Ryan Clark deserves this. People were saying, oh, you know what? Because I even saw, I'm a big fan. I love Jamel Hill. Shout out Jamel Hill. Uh, I grew up watching her as well. Her and I forget the black dude, and I forget the I don't think it was his and hers. Nah, that's the name of something else. His and hers. But I remember they logos like green and blue. Matter of fact, sit in front of a computer. Let me do you right, Jamel. Let me do you right. Cause Jamel Hill's a legend to me, especially as a black journalist. And I grew up watching her as well. Jamel Hill. I don't even gotta type in Hill. That's how I go. All you gotta do is type in Jamel. Jamel Hill, ESPN old show. What was it? It was oh, it was his and hers. Oh my god, I got it right. Oh my god, wow. Dog, I thought that was a title of something else, bro. Michael Smith, that was the dude. What was it? Was that the name of their show though? Because I want to make sure. Yep, his and hers with Jamel Hill and Michael Smith. Yep. Wow, that's crazy. Shout out my memory. I actually thought I was getting that wrong. Uh, Shout out Jamel Hill and black. Oh yeah, black journalists like Jamel Hill because people was tagging them for some reason. Like, oh, she need to be next, and she like, mind you, she was so sarcastic. She like, yep, you know what? Let her ESPN fire me. She don't even work there no more. They've already been did her wrong, and it's unfortunate how black journalists, especially in journalism in this field, how I've even been told directly. I've even been told like, oh, you know what? On TV, like, you probably wouldn't be hired with that hair or with that color hair. And I've even had the experience, unfortunately, in the journalism field that, unfortunately for us, it is very white centered, and it's why I talk so passionately in the first topic on black people when we're in these rooms, even if we don't see a lot of people that look like us, we do belong. And even when we're accepted, even when we're let into those rooms, the moment they don't need us no more, they drop us like flies. They didn't even have decency around Ryan Clark's firing. And it's why I said earlier, I would shout out the Pivot podcast. And even as a podcaster, I would shout out other podcasts. I love other podcasts succeeding. I love other black podcasters succeeding because we need this form of independence and ownership in this field because there's no guarantee no matter how talented we are, we're going to be accepted. Or even when we are accepted, there's no telling on where we're going to be let go, when we're going to be fired. Going to be fired even when they say, hey, you're not going to be fired. Being fired even when you're in the middle of work. There's nothing that can be described to talk about the black experience in America or the black male experience in America or the black woman experience in America or the black male or woman journalist in America, even outside of America. So I wish the best for people like Ryan Clark, for Jamel Hill, people who Jamel Hill also has a channel. Please go to her platforms as well, to where there's good black media out there, and especially when you look for it, when you find it, there's no matter how many obstacles that come into our way that may silence our voice, we have the opportunity to be ourselves. We have the opportunity to talk about these things. And I really encourage every black podcaster, please make a podcast. Please talk about your thoughts. Please own your own forms of media and please get your thoughts out there. And as I keep going into my topics, let me keep going. Let me uh, where do I want to go next? Let me do this real quick on my end. I'm gonna highlight these because usually I have my topics in order. I don't got them in order this time. Let me make sure I'm gonna just highlight my topics that I've already talked about. Go ahead. Oh no, my that wasn't highlight. That's a highlight. Okay. Um. Uh. Real quick, to spitfire. This topic just to have some while I'm highlighting these to have some continuity from the next podcast. Dog, Connor, why you do that, dog? Why you enter that fight like that? For those of you who may not watch the UFC, Conor McGregor is someone who, by the way, has a lot of allegations on his record. So if you feel a way about Conor McGregor as a person, don't blame you, and to each their own. Whether the things that are true, not true, the things that are true. But Conor McGregor is a UFC fighter who, if you watch the last episode, who was making his return fight after a few years, and he decided, mind you, the nigga almost 40, decided to come out with a running, spinning back kick, and nigga blew his knee out towards ACL, and that was like the first. That was literally the beginning of the fight. So as soon as the bell rang, he came out and did that. Fight over. Max Holloway looking like, no, I don't want to hit. And Connor, respect to Connor. Connor was still trying to fight. He's like, no, keep fighting. Max Holloway looking at the ref like, dog, he keep falling. Like, I don't want to, like, start the fight. But I really want to, as I transition over from the Ryan Clark conversation, as I mentioned earlier, and if you don't know, the shout out people like Mark on my hill too. I try to be good with my segues, but as I talked earlier, I talked that I'm a really big battle rap fan, and I have the luxury of being mutuals and being followed by fellow battle rappers as well. I've shout out Danny Myers last podcast. Shout out people like Danny Myers. Shout out Danny Myers, Jason Amaru, V Gotti, Archduke Red Cat. Like those are just some of my mutuals. Very cold ass battle rappers, and even people who just don't follow me. Rum Nitty, A Ward, Capo, Tay Rock, Loaded Lux, Hitman Holla. Big battle rap fan. If you watched the last episode, I talked about Loaded Lux and Hitman Holla. But um, there have been a few battle rap events that have happened recently, and I want to really highlight West Lane 3 because, as I mentioned, a couple of my mutuals are on there. And by the way, um, my mutuals battled each other, and I'm gonna give an opinion. My opinion is already out on Twitter, but just in case if the mutual who I feel lost the battle sees this, listen. Not even just for him, but a lot of battle rappers. Listen, I don't want listen because a lot of some battle rappers get personal with this. Some of y'all niggas gotta lose. There has to be a winner. There has to be a loser. Sometimes y'all niggas got smoked. Sometimes y'all niggas got obliterated. Since both of these two are my mutuals, I'm gonna choose my words carefully. But dog, listen, don't. There's no hurt feelings. I'm a podcaster with my opinion. I don't want no. Actually, the battle rapper to make a bar on me, actually be honored. Be like, nigga, oh my god, nigga, this. Even though I wouldn't be like that because I write too. I don't rap, but I write. So I'd be like, hold on, nigga. I think of a bar. I get on your end too, but I'd be honored. Like, oh my god, battle rap. I'm in a bar. That'd be crazy. I record. I do a whole thing. I wish I could react to battle rap for people who react to battle rap, but I actually really love reaction content. The reason why I don't do reaction content a lot, and I'm gonna do it more on stream, especially when I get a face camera and stuff. But the copyright be crazy. But shout out West Lane 3. There were a lot of great battles. To do my mutuals battle first, shout out Jason Amaru versus V Gotti. Two really good battle rappers. I've been a big fan of Jason for a while. Ever since he used to go by Jalabi Bungus. And I don't know. Actually, I want to figure out. I would love to get him on this platform and interview both of these battlers as well. But I've been a fan of his and a follower and a mutual of his for a while. He followed me back as well. Shout out Jason and shout out his YouTube channel as well. He's a content creator, not just a battle rapper. And that nigga one of the nicest, dog. I'm sorry. Listen, V Gotti. Listen, V. Shout out to Follow. I think V is actually pretty nice as well. He wasn't asked by any means, but listen, shit. Shout out Scissor, shout out Kendrick. I'm 30 for 30 for 30 and 30. Listen, clean ass 30 from Jason. I do again. I don't mean no harm. I don't mean no hurt feelings. I do think Jason 30 V Gotti, but I think V Gotti also is a pretty good battle rapper. Jason, especially his second round. And for this, sometimes when I go on my rap segments, I have to write some lyrics down. I didn't have any lyrics from this battle specifically or on none of the battles I'm gonna talk about. I didn't have none written down. I do have Rum Nitty is my favorite battle rapper, so I do think I got some Rum lines memorized from that Thesaurus battle. Shout out to Thesaurus. But I think Rum 30 him too. So he trust me that it wasn't just 130 on this card. But and for people who don't watch battle rap, a 30 is considered to where there are 3 rounds in battle rap. So if a battle rapper wins all 3 rounds, it's considered 3-0, 3-0, 30. Uh, and I think I think the closest round for V was the first, honestly, because I remember once. First of all, just sound funny. He lost the coin toss, but the host of the battle thought he won it, and Jason told him, "No, I lost it." He like, "Dang, I should have lied," because in battle rap, it's favorable to go second because you can hear what the person says and you can rebuttal and then you can say your own stuff. But even while going first, it didn't matter, though. And I remember just that nigga telling him, that nigga told Gotti, battle rap get very disrespectful sometimes, even though that's the point. Battle rap is the point is the diss. That's the point. Nigga told him like, hey dog, you better go get that third. It's gonna be a 30. And in my opinion, that nigga not gonna get that third. But that second round, especially where cause Jason, he like I didn't even remember. I was listening throughout the battle, dog. I didn't even hear V talk about Jason moms. That nigga Jason like, oh, you talking about my moms? Dog, that nigga just like got on his ass. Listen, shout out V Gotti, shout out Jason Amaru. I'm very grateful and I'm pleased to say that I do share following and we are mutuals on Twitter platform. But um, not only I don't say that as if like, oh my god, I'm this caught up person or whatever. I say that to say that not only would I love to interview both of these battlers, and I would love, especially since you can't really react to a lot of battle rap, and battle rap is really on YouTube a lot. I would love for this platform to eventually welcome battle rappers and to use my platform to uh, give battle rap a highlight and to give more of a light, because even though I'm not somebody that feels like all battle rappers are just the best battle rappers ever, niggas like Lux, Tay Rock, Rum Nitty, like they deserve to be in the conversation with just rappers, period. Not and battle rap, it gets so niche, but these are very talented individuals. And what makes their creativity so fire is especially when comparing them to someone like industry or one of those type of rappers. Um, some things will work on a beat that wouldn't work live and vice versa. So that nigga Rum Nitty. Shout out people like Eunice as well, another cold battle rapper. And shout out people like Klutz. Like there's been a lot of recent battle raps going on. I'm covering only West Lane 3, but there was a event at the time of recording this yesterday from iBattle. It was I saw people like shout out Nepotism, A Ward's nephew. I'm gonna talk about A Ward's battle in a minute as well. Shout out Anderson Burris. Especially people keep canceling on him and he's still battling. I hope the Lex Luthor battle went well. Shout out that event as well. Shout out iBattle TV. But and shout out Jay Black and matter of fact, Jay Black and Gap Tooth Henry, I think it is, since we shouting out people from the battle rap community. But uh not only do I express my the fact that we're mutuals, not only to interview them, but like I mentioned, I want to put it out there that these are very talented individuals. And just like I was saying, how just the creativity behind it, bro. Again, shout out Rum Nitty versus Thesaurus. I think Rum Nitty 30'd that battle as well, and Thesaurus was good. That nigga Rum Nitty told that nigga, he like, oh, what are you doing? Like, I can do that too. I could get in my little. I think he called because he was making a point. He called him mini Eminem. And he had a mini Eminem bar too. He was going off. That nigga said, "I can do what you do too. I can get, I can do what you do too. I can get my little syllable bag like a Ziploc." Duh, my little syllable bag, like syllable, but sealable. My little syllable bag, like a Ziploc. That nigga stupid. And then Unit shot just like Unit said, like, how can somebody be a battle like how just like Unit said, how can a battle rapper not think of that? Even I write too. How could I never thought little syllable, sealable, to even think of the wordplay of syllable and sealable, because they don't write it out the same word. But my little syllable bag. If you say it bad, my little syllable bag. Syllable, like is it that ain't crazy. Uh Another battle on the card was I didn't so this is again, I get frustrated with battle rap sometimes. Because I wanted to watch the whole event and I would cover the whole event. If I was able, I would cover the battles that I watched. If I was able to have the opportunity to watch the whole event, because Danny Myers is another mutual, and I would have loved to fully cover his battle as well. He battled somebody named Dre. I forget who they was, but they were really nice, and it was a really good back and forth battle. And they said it was a rematch as well. So I wasn't even familiar with the first one, but they took the live stream down. It was a live stream, and then they kept it up, and then they took it down, and then they claimed they were putting the battles out at their own pace, but they only put out two of them. They only put out Rum Nitty and A Ward. Jason's, unfortunately, you can't go watch Jason and V Gotti's battle. It's not up on YouTube. Just I did saw Jason talked about it, but A Ward versus Capo is another battle as well, and I do personally. I feel I gave the battle 2-1 to A Ward, but Capo was really really good, and the consensus was that Capo won the battle, and especially for and I saw some people say A Ward won, but for the majority, people were saying Capo won, and he's a younger battle rapper, and that's great for battle rap because a lot of people feel as though battle rap, especially with it being so niche and older people battling, that battle rap won't go far. It's not a good place for some. I find similar parallels to the NBA, but like the NBA and battle rap, they're in a great place. Just because a lot of the legends are getting older, I don't think they should retire. Like Tay Rock, people like Tay Rock and Nitty and New Jersey Twerk, like they're at the top of their game. But battle rap is in a great hands. Just from the young people, you got Klutz, King, who's from Detroit, Klutz, Eunice, King, Capo, nepotism, bro. They said nepotism was 15, and I hope they put their battles or that event on YouTube because I couldn't hear the clip clearly. But like he seemed like he actually good for real, and it's cold, especially to be that young at and being that good at rapping. Because if your nephew or if your he the nephew, so if your uncle A Ward or like if your family is that cold at rapping and you pursue that, that's lucky. First of all, it's smart. I love the fact that he's already, even though this don't stop somebody from making a bar about it, but I love that he's already on top of one of the rebuttals. Like, oh, you A Ward's nephew, you got nepotism. That nigga named Nepotism. That's very fire. That's a fire little flip, and I heard that he's actually kind of nice. So shout out, shout out those battles, shout out the battle rap community, and yeah. Uh, After that, speaking of battle rap, speaking of battling, matter of fact, bro. So I think I don't remember if I talked about it at all on this platform, but uh rapper 38 Special. So I'm not again for the clickbait, if this is a clip, and I probably would still clip this. For the clip, it would most people would probably call it a Jadakiss diss. I think 38 Special barely said something to Jadakiss. If you don't know, but bro, that nigga got on Jim Jones. Listen, for people who don't know, and just in case if I haven't talked about it all on this platform, Jadakiss easily one of the greatest rappers of all time, and with one of the greatest diss tracks of all time on 50 Cent, with Checkmate. But rapper 38 Special, he went on a podcast and talked about how um on a song it was Benny the Butcher featuring 38 Special and Jadakiss called Sunday School, very fire song. To where 38 Special expressed like, you know what? I've been trying to do a song with Jadakiss, and bro, I think that nigga ducking me. He ducking me because I smoked him on that song with Benny the Butcher. And now I do actually feel 38 Special had the best verse on there. That nigga said I had a lamb and a stick, like I can't like I'm fresh out the Bible. Like that nigga 38 Special, that old nigga nice. And it for how he raps, it's old nigga raps, but it's really good old nigga raps. And he's pretty good. The nigga nice. And I think he actually did have the best verse on that song. And to say you out rap Jadakiss and Benny the Butcher on even one song, especially Jada, that's big to say. But all three verses on the song are good. Jadakiss' verse is actually really good as well. Benny the Butcher's verse is really good. And even though 38 Special got the best verse, one, I don't think Jadakiss' verse was that bad. Now, it was a weaker verse for Jadakiss just because Jadakiss is that good. But I think Jadakiss was on the song to give a little extra oomph to Benny. And I don't think he necessarily was on the song to have the better verse, but that doesn't excuse anything. Rap is competitive. I feel hip hop is a sport. 38 Special had the better verse, especially in rapper land, but especially to another guy. But just anybody who's competitive to say, to say, first of all, Jadakiss is not entitled to do anything for 38 Special. But to say that nigga ducking me is one thing, and to say he's ducking me because I out rapped him on a verse, but then you ask him for something like, but I still want something from you though. That's really not going to land well, or that probably wouldn't land well. And then Jadakiss sent a couple shots. One, they were perceived as subliminal shots. I think they were shots. One on a freestyle from Big Daddy Kane, and another one from a very fire song called "The Aroma" with Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and Stove God Cooks, where he asks like, "Hey, is this about a verse, or I've been obliterating niggas for years? Is this about a verse, or is this about a career?" Like, asking around, I've been the career repo. Like that nigga Kiss was going off, but we're waiting for 38 Special to respond. He goes on another podcast, and even though he called out Jadakiss to rap, Jadakiss rapped. This nigga goes on a podcast. We're like, all right, nigga. He was criticizing Jada, saying like, oh, you too old to be doing this. Da da da. Still want the verse from you though, and we're waiting for this nigga to rap and respond. He releases a diss track called "Fool's Mate," and all he said about Jadakiss to my man, he said, "You fat Joe Love man." Now, again, you can play the argument all Jada hasn't said 38 Special name on a record directly, and they were just subliminal shots. And if we're taking the main subliminal shot, is this about a verse or is this about a career? That's one line. So 38 Special giving Jadakiss one line. Okay, if you want to say that's fair, cool. But even if we're going one line for one line, You Fat Joe Lil Mans, that's it. Okay, so I think it's very weird. It comes off as like it come off as if 38 Special was picking on Jada, roasting Jada. Jada Kiss flamed him, roasted him back and flamed him. And then instead of responding heavily to the nigga that said something to you, Jada Kiss responded to the nigga that laughed. I mean, pardon me, 38 Specials responded to the nigga that laughed. Because Jim Jones and 38 Special do have a beef. And Jim Jones, I think he commented about the 38 Special Jadakiss thing. And I think 38 Special was mad at that. Bro, you would have think the beef started with Jim Jones. You would have think Jim Jones talked about that nigga mama. The name of the song is Fool's Mate. That nigga 38 Special told Jim Jones, you married a bum bitch. That's a fool's mate. And the cover art is of chess. Like, so instead of checkmate, fool's mate, and oh wow, damn, that's a flip on Jadakiss. Okay, that's cool. But uh that's crazy. And then he was talking about Jim Jones, and these are disses that people have said about Jim before, but he's saying how Jim Jones don't got a house, he broke, he his girl ain't nothing. And first of all, especially when you bring in the girl, that's just very disrespectful. At bare minimum, you get a response. You got to fight. Why are you talking about my girl? That's a no go. That's very far for that, especially on Wax. I haven't heard nothing Jim Jones said about 38 Special on Wax, and I barely heard what he said about 38 Special in general. So that was a crazy haymaker to throw at Jim Jones. But and it's extra unfortunate about Jim Jones because those are just disses about anybody in general. But it's criticized about Jim Jones. People talk about. I'll just say it like this: people talk about Jim Jones' relationship a lot. Jim Jones is known for being like a I got money, I'm very flex rapper. So those specific type of disses dig deeper for Jim Jones, especially if you know his history. And I'm purposely not going in detail about the relationship thing because because of my views on it, and I stay out of Jim Jones' business. That's just I'll leave it there. I don't. It's not that deep. But that nigga 38 Special. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes, and yeah, I wrote down those bars. All the bars that was the crazy bars was about Jim Jones. So, and he did Fat Joe once, and he said DJ Khaled fat. No, first of all, I think he said, well, I ain't gonna put nothing extra on him that I don't remember for sure. It's 38 Special was talking crazy to Jim Jones. He called DJ Khaled fat because DJ Khaled was in the premiere video on the podcast when they premiered the song that dissed 38 Special, and it's kind of on some Drake Family Matters trying to diss multiple people, but in the same criticism that I had about Drake and Family Matters, you can have the same shit about Fool's Mate at a worse degree. Your main target is one of the greatest rappers ever. No disrespect to Jim Jones, no disrespect to Fat Joe, no disrespect to DJ Khaled. Jada, just again, no disrespect to Weeknd, respect to ASAP Rocky. Kendrick Lamar was that nigga main target. Jadakiss is your main target here, dog. I think you could. Some people like, and you could tell this too. Some people were saying you could tell 38 Special respects Jadakiss a lot, and you could tell that he wants something from him. He wants something from him. He wants Jadakiss to do something from him. That's why the approach, in my opinion, it's not the best approach to take. That he's scared of me, he ducking me because I watched him on the song. It's not the best approach to take, in my opinion. We want something from somebody and we want him to do something for you. Because mind you, this is their job. So there's money involved. You want him to do something for you. I don't think that's how you handle it. But we got a battle. Shit. If I'm Jim Jones, nigga, we better have a battle. Jim, nigga, I ain't gonna lie, shit. For what 38 Special said, uh, we kind of needed a response yesterday, but I'm not one of those people who put a timeline on responses. I am one of those people that do say the longer you take, the better it should be. So for how he was talking about you, Jim, nigga, you on the clock. And Jim still raps. So nigga, and you a podcaster too. Get in that booth before you get in that pod. So and this ain't Joe. You're not retired. You ain't Jim still raps. So get in that booth. Jim responded to 50. And that wasn't even really his main thing. So Jim should be in that booth. We should be hopefully by next podcast. I'm reviewing Jim Jones' response and saying who got round one between them. I guess we got a battle from Jadakiss. If I'm Jada, I wouldn't respond to this either. If I'm Jadakiss, I just again since he literally is begging and wants something from Jada, ignoring him is probably the worst response. But then that's probably gonna produce more shit. I don't know. If I'm Jadakiss from the response, uh, I would let Jim Jones handle this. I ain't gonna lie. if I'm Jadakiss, I would play the "You Gotta Beat Jim Jones" card to get a response out of me because you dissed that nigga worse. And who to say who the better rapper between Jim Jones and 38 Special, especially in a battle. Oh shit. And I've heard Jim Jones battle. Jim Jones is just Pusha T. Jim Jones can battle. So I think we in for a good battle. I like 38 Special. If I'm thinking about it from a 38 Special versus Jim Jones perspective, I like 38 Special round one. It's a good round, very good round. Very disrespectful round. So Jim Jones got to get on his ass. All the gloves are off, by the way. It better not be no, oh, he went too far, Jim Jones. Jim Jones say some crazy shit. Because, again, you talking about that nigga wife. Pardon me. You're talking about that nigga's girlfriend throughout the whole shit. Called her a bum bitch, called him a fool for being with her. The lack of a high, like, yeah, you, Jim, Jim, Jim. I think Jim gonna take care of it though. I do. I perceive Jim Jones as the better rapper, but I didn't know who 38 Special was until you start talking about the Benny the Butcher shit, or until Joe, because people on the Joe Budden podcast, specifically Parks, a friend of 38 Special, and they mentioned it. And 38 Special nice, so he good. But let's see where that battle go. I'm gonna spitfire these two topics only because I'm not really a soccer nigga. I don't barely watch soccer, and I haven't watched the trailer for this yet. But Spain did beat Argentina. Shout out Spain. It's crazy that the 19-year-old, like Messi, they had the whole story where Messi had like the kid, the 19-year-old Lamal. I don't want to mispronounce the young man's name, but the 19-year-old guy who's the 19-year-old young man who played for Spain, when he was a baby had won a lottery thing where he got to meet Messi, and the baby took a picture, and the baby grows up to beat Messi in the World Cup. Poetic storytelling. And in terms of Avengers Doomsday, I still haven't seen the trailer yet. I'm not really a superhero nigga like that. I didn't really grow up on superhero movies, but I have I've watched, if terms in order, I've watched up until Civil War, and then after that I've watched like Endgame and then the Black Panther movies. So I'm aware of the MCU, but I'm not too deep into it to know all the logistics into it. But according to people who have watched the trailer, hey, I heard Doctor Doom finna get busy. Shit, even as somebody that's not really hit the superhero shit, I'm aware of like who Doctor Doom is. I've heard he's supposed to be him. MF Doom made a whole persona about Doctor Doom, so I know Doom is supposed to be like that nigga. Like I've heard he's supposed to be crazy, but I've heard. Listen, let me make sure I'm still recording. I've heard it's whether it's the X-Men, whether it's X-Men. First of all, I heard all these people go be in the movie, like X-Men, Fantastic Four. Like I heard the movie go be stacked, and they all going up against Doctor Doom. Wait a minute, that nigga that different? That nigga sounds insane. But as I get out of here, we almost out of here, y'all. I really appreciate y'all for tuning into this episode. But I want to next talk about how matter of fact, that's where I'll go next because I'll just like I said about the UFC to continue the continuity, and since it's over now, Love Island. Listen, shout out. Matter of fact, as of recent, I really want to shout out Casey and Tierra's podcast. I really think, if you know from the last episode, I'm a fan of them. So if you don't like them, you're not probably gonna like my opinion on them because my opinion on them is positive. I think it was a genius and beautiful move to take all of the talk around them in their own hands to start a podcast and talk about how like it definitely hurt them to see come into the outside world and see like it was brands like Sarah V like putting them in a dress and calling TT a man and crazy shit. A lot of online bullying, and it's crazy because unfortunately there have been a lot of people who have like self-deleted themselves after being on Love Island, and so to see even like the show and a lot of these businesses kind of lean into the uh negative talk around Casey and TT is very interesting to say the least. And Trendy and Bryce were the winners of the most recent season of Love Island. I really like Trinity and Bryce. People saying they probably not together. Who knows? Who cares? Y'all not in their life. As long as they're happy, it is what it is. And as long as Bryce don't come out being on no anti-black or no racist shit, the interracial shit is cool with me as well. It is what it is. As long as those two are happy, they actually do seem genuine, but I don't know. But I wish the best for all couples involved, and especially for Casey and TT. I'm a huge fan. I love Black Love, and I really wish the best for their relationship and their podcast as well if they continue their podcast. But no matter what they do, a lot of them on that show, if you made it for a while, you probably got some good brand deals, especially if you made it to the end. And I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna be straight from that show.
But with that being said, I'm really grateful for you guys. I'm really appreciative on having this platform to be a voice for the Black community and being able to talk about how, just with all these topics, basketball, hip hop, I'm going to always implore and lift up these topics and talk about how no matter what part of the Black community it is, and no matter what part of Black culture it is, Black culture will always be beautiful and always be a part of the world. And I'm really grateful to have this platform and to get my thoughts out and to talk to you guys. So I'm really appreciative for you guys tuning in, and never be afraid to talk about what's on your mind. Thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a blessed rest of y'all day, no matter when y'all listening to this. If y'all checking me out or listening to me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, viewing the Twitch streams, like, I'm really grateful. I'm really appreciative for all of it. So I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all day or at night or whenever y'all watching this, and see y'all later. Peace.